I think in both pits, from historical work and from mining, we see that there's a share corridor being mined, like you've seen from our mapping press release. With really high grades, and there's mining ongoing currently.
We closed on $8.5 million last week.
So we're so eager to test these at depth and kind of understand and quantify mineralization better. The camp is 50% loading. All the big equipment is making their way down the river as we speak. So the next couple of weeks will be, getting to Randy's, getting everything prepped, and, start drilling.
Alright, today we're having a chat with Oscar Louzada, the CEO, and Rayiez Bhoelan, VP of Exploration of Sranan Gold. And Oscar, you have some exciting financing news to share with us today.
We do. We closed on $8.5 million last week. We were looking to go out and do a bit of a top up to increase our drilling program, and there has been quite a decent appetite for it. So we had to increase it not once but twice. So that gives us a very decent war chest to keep going for quite some time. Absolutely, and to do the increased drilling. So yeah, really happy.
Yeah, bit of a top up. I believe the original plan was to go out there and raise 3 million, and now you've raised 8.5 million without warrants. One should add.
Yes, correct. We still had a reasonable amount of money in the bank. The top up was really to do the increased drilling that we're planning on both Randy and Poeketi, and we started this in the 1-to-1 in London a couple of weeks ago. Went off to Toronto, and that got the ball rolling. We got a decent amount from European investors, Dutch investors as well, actually, and the rest is all from Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting, and I would love to dive a bit deeper into this race later on in this video. But first, Rayiez, a word to you, of course. Perhaps you can outline really what this allows you to do on the exploration side. We've already done a great first overview on what you're trying to target, but all that is now kind of expanded.
Yes, Dan. So, we have immediately more than half of the footage allocated to the Poeketi Randy trend. We will be chasing these trends along their northwest as well as their southeast extension. We have the parallel zone that we now call the Randy West, which we will investigate by mapping and trenching as we kick off the drilling at Randy's pit. In the short term, the Poeketi Randy trend will be the main focus, and right already off the bat we have more than half allocated to that area. And as we work towards the extensions of Randy's pit and northwest of Poeketi, I think that'll gobble up a lot of the footage that we have. And in the midterm, we want to look at West Poeketi, which in geological terms is in favorable terrain. Again, the same thing. The greenstone is strained against the contact with the intrusion there in the northwest. There's an auger anomaly there. There is small-scale mining activities in the drainages, and even in some pits there. And we will also look to add some soil grits to kind of close off that area all the way to the northwestern boundary of the property. And then in the longer term, we're looking at the south intrusion, which mind you is a trend of almost 12K, and it's supported by historical panning. It's supported by halos of soil auger anomalies. It's also supported by the geological contacts that we see, that there is a granitic greenstone contact there again, highly strained, a little bit of an offset from Randy's pit. We're not sure what that means yet. So really exciting south intrusion, but it will need some additional exploration work and zooming in or de-risking it. And then we have Inyard North and Inyard South. Inyard North is quite a flat, undulating landscape with a ton of small-scale mining in the drainages. There's some historical soil grid that they overlap a bit, so we might have to do some infill and try to figure that one out. Inyard South is exciting because right off the LiDAR, we got the final LiDAR processed and everything was delivered last week. We had to look at it again, and it seems like we have 2 large-scale folds there. And the exciting thing about it is that there's, of course, mining all around it, again, in the drainages again. And it appears that, the axis of those folds, which is the water divide, kind of shows us anomalous historical panning also. So also very exciting. So we have quite a few of these targets, down the pipeline. and you don't want to keep them sitting too. So we will get ticking on them, and hopefully have them ready when we're done with the Randy Poeketi trend, and continue to generate value for our stakeholders. Yeah.
Great, thank you for the technical overview, Rayiez. And really, to try to summarize this in a bit more simple, less technical language, really you have this one big trend over your project running from West Poeketi all the way to the South Intrusion, and you're currently trying to focus your 10,000 meter maiden campaign on that Poeketi and Randy pit. There you have some artisanal mining showing the way, you have some LiDAR data, and now you want to test whether that smoke actually contains some fire at depth. Is that correct?
Yes. And we will, for sure focus on the pit areas first, and then progress in each direction along strike to start adding more dimension to this. That's the initial game plan. Yeah.
Yeah, and something that you told me before we started going live with this recording here is that just the South Intrusion is like a 12-kilometer trend line, and this entire first trend is an order of magnitude of 20 kilometers, right?
If you add them together, yes. So
are they two separate or connected?
Maybe they're a bit discontinuous because of cross-cutting structures, but the geological context is similar because it is just like we've seen in other deposits. Especially now, if you look at west, these are structures that are proximal to a big contact between the greenstones and the granitic intrusions, and you have these high damage zones. And we see here, basically from Randy's all the way southeast, it's in the orders of tens of kilometers of probable zones, right? Which is exciting.
And Rayiez, in your presentation, you referenced some parallel trend potential. Of course, very important to highlight that. I know there's some historic parallels in country. Perhaps you can explain really what other deposits show in Suriname and what the potential could be here.
In my experience, Stijn, working at the Saramacca deposit and at Upper Antino, you can have the main share corridor, the main zone. Like at Saramacca, we had the main cataclastic zone, which was called the Fayabergi zone. And as drilling progressed over the months, we discovered a lot of more parallel zones to that, within the hanging wall. And this kind of it helps to make your project feasible. It counters if you have a difficult strip ratio, it counters that. And you can see the same thing at Upper Antino, and you have all these parallel trends in the Froyo ginger zone, which we're hoping for too, because this is, as you've seen from the magnitude we're talking about, this is a major shear corridor, a major high strain corridor. So the possibility exists. I mean, I don't want to speculate too much, but once we drill this, we're hoping for those, and that'll probably counter any high strip ratio that we might encounter or might not encounter. But it just makes it more economic, which is exciting.
Yeah, definitely, and some nuance there. Of course, this is all potential, blue sky potential that we're talking about. Stripping ratio definition is how much waste ore you would need to mine compared to 1 ore of mineralization, I suppose. If you have a high stripping ratio, you need to take out a lot of waste. Parallel trends off camera, we spoke about it, are defined as relatively close to your main body. So if you were to have those on the project, they would be close by your main mineralization. And then once the time for mining comes, you would need to remove less waste because this is like right next to the mineralization. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Stijn. Yes, that's and it just makes it it's like the cherry on top of the icing.
Yeah, no, 100%. Perhaps you can outline how the next couple of weeks of exploration will look like on your project.
Yeah, so Stijn, right now we are the camp is 50% loading. All the big equipment is making their way down the river as we speak. So the next couple of weeks will be, getting to Randy's, getting everything prepped, doing some of the earthworks, and start drilling. And while drilling goes on, there will be mapping and trenching around Randy's pit and Randy West to keep it going. So really busy times. So everybody is on third gear, in full speed right now.
Yeah, a very, very exciting time ahead. Thank you, Rayiez, for making the time and swinging by today. I know you're at camp right now. I really appreciate that. Shifting gear again to Oscar, perhaps we can talk about the placement a bit more. Perhaps you can give some detail on who was able to participate, how many different investors you've allocated this 8.5 million Canadian dollars to.
Yeah, of course. I think we had 91 entries in the book, which is quite a few. We've managed to pick up some very good institutional backing as well. We've got two of the largest funds out of Toronto. In total, we've picked up 5 institutions, and almost half of that book, half of the 8 million or 8.5, went to those institutions. So we've got a fund from Hong Kong, fund from Switzerland, to Toronto. We have picked up quite a decent retail following out of Germany and Holland, actually. We've got a reasonable liquidity on Frankfurt and Tradegate, so that seems to be helping quite a bit. A bit over $1 million came, $1.5 million actually, came from German and Dutch investors. Lots of backing from Toronto retail as well, and a little bit from Vancouver. So overall, 91 entries. So the split between institutional and retail is probably about 50-50. And as you said, yeah, without a warrant, which makes a lot of sense.
Well, previously, of course, in I believe it was May 21st, your total shares outstanding was in the 42 million range, 41 to 42 million range. So now should we expect that totally fully diluted share count to be in the 63, 64 million range?
Exactly. Correct. Yeah, we're now issuing shares and doing all the DAP deliveries and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have an updated number out on in the presentation and the website in the next couple of days. But it'll be somewhere 60-ish million shares.
Great. And then lastly, very quickly shifting gears again to Rayiez. Of course, you outlined you're starting at the Poeketi and the Randy's pit. Perhaps you can very shortly summarize why these pits are so exciting. You have some surface grand pulse or artisanal mining. Just a very short and sweet summary.
I think in both pits, Stijn, from historical work and from mining, we see that there's a share corridor being mined to it, with, like you've seen from our mapping press release. With really high grades, and there's mining ongoing currently. So we're so eager to test these at depth and kind of understand and quantify mineralization better. So we're starting at Randy's and then shifting gears towards Poeketi. And Randy has way more saprolite, which would be easier mining.
Very exciting time ahead. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for making the time. I know you're busy enough with the drilling campaign upcoming. Best of luck. Thank you so much.
And you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stijn.